This is the Real Health Black Men podcast, where we empower men to take control of their health. We provide vital information and build community support. Join us as we discuss everything from major health challenges to mental wellness to physical fitness. So if you're ready to level up your health and your life, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome back to Real Health Black Men podcast. I'm excited for you to hear the story of my next guest. His name is Philip Atkins, and we met through the Zero Prostate Cancer Black Men's Therapy Group, and I'm excited to hear his story. So Philip, thank you for joining us today, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you, Grantley. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to give my story. We met at the Zero Prostate Cancer Therapy Group, and it's a group where men like us, we get to talk about our stories and our challenges while living with prostate cancer, and it just gives us an opportunity to realize that we're not in this alone, and that we have opportunities to learn from other people and what they have been going through, and possibly learn some things that can help ourselves. And in fact, we also might be helping somebody else while we're talking about our story. But just to give you, as quick as I can, a little update on me, on the history of me and my journey with prostate cancer.
Before you begin, tell us where you're from as well, where you live, what you do for a living, so our audience could get to know you a little bit.
Sure. I'm actually from New York City. However, I've gone to school in Kansas and lived in Denver, Colorado, and lived in Maryland, right around the DMV area, they call it. And now I live in Delaware. I'm married, have a daughter, grandson. It's my wife and I live here in Delaware, Central Delaware. And I'm a quality assurance manager, quality assurance in the food industry. That involves things like research and development, production, of course. And like I said, would be last a long time. Quality assurance, making sure that the food that you receive is of the utmost quality.
Thanks for that intro. Yeah, let's get into your story now.
Yeah. My journey with prostate cancer began in May of 2023. I'm also a kidney transplant patient, and in May I'd gone for my annual checkup, and the doctor, part of the checkup is to do a blood test so that the doctor can check all the different things that he needs to look at. The nephrologist needs to look at body. And he just suggested that I have a PSA test because I hadn't had one since my transplant in 2015. So when we got back the results, my PSA was elevated. It was 11.8. Of course, my doctor sent me to urologist. The urologist did his digital rectal examination, and he also did a biopsy. The biopsy came back and confirmed, yes, I have prostate cancer. And it was Gleason stage 3+4 equaling 7, and it was stage 2B. So B means that it was aggressive, and that would factor in what type of treatments I would have later on. Of course, I went through a battery of tests, and a CAT scan, a bone scan, MRI, and all of that just confirming and making sure the cancer, it was localized and everything. And so it was localized in the prostate, which is great. Hadn't spread anywhere, lymph nodes or any bones or any other area of my body. But we decided, because I had a kidney transplant and the transplanted kidney is so close to the prostate, they chose not to do surgery, and they chose to do radiation, brachytherapy, which is feed implants, and also to do hormone therapy. So I had the brachytherapy in March of last year, and I followed that a couple of months later with radiation, and that was about 22 treatments, and that went well. The brachytherapy had no problems with slight discomfort after the in and out patient procedure. Nothing real bad, just slight discomfort. Of course, there is some blood in the urine, 3 or 4 days after that, but that goes away and no problems, no difficulties. The radiation, I had a little bit of fatigue during that time and some muscle weakness, just didn't feel as strong. And I also was told that was normal and that I actually did quite well with most patients. Actually, I was supposed to have about 6 or 7 weeks, but the radiation went so well that it ended after about 5 weeks. It did what it's supposed to do during that. The next thing, the third part of my treatment plan was hormone therapy, and the hormone that injection that I got was called Eligard, and that shot lasts for 6 months. So I had my first shot in June of last year, and when I went back to have my second shot, I found out that my PSA level was undetected in December of last year. So that was a blessing. That was great.
Yeah,
but
it is.
We still had the second shot just to make sure, I guess, in my turn to give it the knockout punch, just to make sure that everything is finished. The only problems I have with the hormone therapy is fatigue, muscle weakness, hot flashes, which that's crazy. Man, as we reach a certain age and our wives or significant others reach a certain age, they may incur that. And it was odd for me to have it. It's just very, it can be frustrating at times because I would be standing there and just break out in a sweat. And people think that there's something going on. I'm like, it'll be over in a couple of minutes. Give me a napkin, give me a towel, and I'll be all right. And of course, you do have the main, I call them the main side effects of the Eligard, the hormone therapy for me has been frequent urination. Sometimes some leakage and erectile dysfunction. But that is part of the course, that's coming, you get these types of shots. That's about it for me in a nutshell. It's the journey has gone pretty well. I think, especially in the beginning, you worry a lot because back in the day when I was younger, here, person getting prostate cancer, you think immediately, oh my gosh, very soon, rapidly. And unfortunately, my father passed with prostate cancer, so about 20 years ago. So I saw that. But he actually, from his first diagnosis until when he passed, it was almost 20 years. So I had to look at, I stay positive in that manner, keeping that in the forefront of my mind.
Okay. Thank you very much for relaying your story. It's very interesting there. Let's talk a little bit about family support. Did you have any family support? How did your family take this, and how have you guys been doing on this journey?
I will say that my family and friends, several friends, they have been very supportive. And it's funny that initially, as I said, with the mental part of this journey, you're worried and concerned. But when you start talking and opening up to other people, you find out, oh, my cousin had that. Oh, my father had it. He had it 6 years ago. He's still going strong. Or some other relative or friend, and all positive news. Especially my wife, my daughter, and a couple other close friends. They keep me positive, help keep this journey positive. As with prostate cancer, you're encouraged to change your diet. And my doctors, neurologists, and the radiology oncologist, they both said, hey, try a Mediterranean diet, eat less meat, eat less processed meat, eat more vegetables and things like that. I've been doing that, and since March of last year, I've lost about 25 pounds. So that's a benefit from living with prostate cancer. I've lost some weight, which is great. I feel better. I still do have some of the weakness in the muscle weakness and fatigue, but in general, I'm okay. pretty much if I don't tell anybody that I have prostate cancer, they have no clue.
Okay, that's encouraging news to hear, the family support and your changes in diet. I was going to ask you about changes in lifestyle as well. But let's go back to the mental part of it. Sometimes as we talk as men, we come to realize that there's this mental and emotional journey that when you hear the word you have cancer, that sometimes is difficult to talk about, and our support group helps us to talk about it. But what was your mental journey like during this whole process, and how is it now compared to then?
Oh yeah, but let me, in the beginning, like I said, sitting there in the doctor's office and he gives me the diagnosis, you in shock. I was in shock. And then of course, like I said, my father died from prostate cancer. Some men that I really looked up to, or I call them silent mentors that I just watched their lives over a period of time, that passed from prostate cancer, it really hit me. But then again, like I said, the support that I've had and my faith that has pulled me through time and time again. It's the support group. Let me talk about that. I look forward. We meet every other week, basically. I look forward to that every Monday at 8:00. I'm there, and I want to hear not only about the stories of those men, but usually how they've benefited from the group that we're in, and also because you learn so much in there, whether it's about different medications, different procedures that different men have had, because it's not just get a prostatectomy or do radiation or do the hormone therapy. It could be a combination. It could be all like me, or it could be they only had one, or they could have even been told by their physician to wait. Let's wait and see, or if your PSA levels aren't that high, it's not moving rapidly up. So just hold on and wait. So you learn about things like that I didn't necessarily know in the beginning. You also learn about different techniques because, as I mentioned with the erectile dysfunction, there are different things that a man can do to help with that, up to and including, which is very important, help from his partner and her attitude and how she deals with it with you is a great thing to hear many men say that their spouses are helping them and they're very understanding. And that's a great thing to see, because I can tell you in the beginning, there's a song from way back in church days, no man is an island, no man stands alone. And
Right.
if you're sitting there in the room by yourself, wringing your hands and woe is me, you're going to get lost pretty quick. But this support group in particular, this is great to see 10, 20 guys on the call. And we have doctors come through. We've had pharmacists come through. We have counselors come through and help us. They answer questions and tell us different things and give us different resources that we can use to make this journey easier. Be easy, but it'll be easier.
Yeah, it's something that we have to live with, but it does definitely help to have that support and to see all Black men getting together to talk about these things really helps. Let's talk a little bit about the lifestyle changes. You said you changed your diet to the Mediterranean diet. You've lost 25 pounds. How difficult was that to do? And are you doing anything else like exercise or other things that you believe is really helping you?
My wife and I were almost on the Mediterranean diet anyway. We didn't do a lot of beef, didn't do a lot of processed food. I guess I'm cooking in the house. When we ate out, it's almost like I'll call it a cheat day, and not even that bad. We might go out and have seafood or something like that, or buy some ribs, which is a rarity for us. We don't do that much anyway, so it wasn't hard. The exercise, I'm mainly just doing walking. I do need to get back in the gym. I actually have weights downstairs, but like I said, the Eligard, when it first took effect strongly, just made me feel weak. And I do know that I need to get back in the gym because that will counteract that weakness. So I do need to incorporate more of that into my program. But the walking, that's pretty much all I'm doing.
Yeah, we know that walking is a very good form of exercise, right? So we don't need to put that down. Walking, if you can keep walking. I've found that since mine that just keep moving. I just say keep moving now. That exercise is one of my doctor friends who we've actually had on this podcast says exercise is movement. Don't not necessarily think about what you're going to do, but how you're going to move and how you're going to keep your body moving. So let's talk about then your overall outlook. How's your overall outlook on life right now? Are you positive? Are you excited?
Yeah, greatly I'm excited. I was just having a conversation 2 days ago with my old roommate from college, and we were talking with same age, just months apart. And I said, man, in 15 years, we'd be 80. And he was like, wait a minute, don't say that. But I was like, for me, I'm planning on being here. God willing, I'm planning on being here in 15 years. And like I said, my father lasted a little longer than that. And like you just said, he was always moving. He had a garden in the backyard. He was just doing something. And I'm getting your point to, like the doctor told you, do something like gardening, doing stuff around the house. Some people may think it's piddling around. That movement and constantly just getting the blood flowing, increasing your metabolism, things like that's going to help you out. Yeah, I have a good outlook. My wife and I talk about traveling here, there, and everywhere after we find the money tree. And also, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, 65, headed towards 66 soon. So we're thinking of retirement, but retirement from my career. But I'm going to be doing some other things with her. She has her own business. I'm going to do some things with her. And our daughter is starting up something, another business. So I'm planning on being around here for a while.
Yeah, they're going to keep you.
Yeah, they're going to keep me busy.
They're going to keep you busy.
Right.
So in wrapping this up, if there are any guys out there who are listening to this and they're having some questions about what do I need to do, what else I need to do, they may not even know they have prostate cancer. They just haven't been to the doctor, or they're scared, or they're hearing a lot of these rumors and stuff. What would your advice be to them about taking control of their health?
First thing I'd say, if you've had anyone, males in your family line that have had prostate cancer, inflamed prostate, go to the doctor and do a PSA test. If your insurance doesn't pay for it, it's not an expensive test to pay for on your own. It's $15 to $75. Do it. It could be a lifesaver. Also, I've talked to many guys, as I said earlier, in reference to my situation, and let them know about my situation. And a lot of guys that I know have actually gone because they listened to me. They've gone and gotten a TSA check. You don't have to do the digital rectal examination. You don't have to do that. You can get a blood test. So if you're going for any other type of blood test, let's get that. Just put it on the script. It's the same blood. They're not going to take more blood. And at least you'll have, a couple of weeks or however long, that peace of mind and knowing that it's not elevated, or it is. And okay, now I have to make some decisions and do something about it. But the main thing is to get out there, guys, and get checked. What we do know, especially we talk about it in our group, prostate cancer affects 1 in 8 men in this country, but it affects 1 in 6 Black men in this country. And it's something that is very curable. It's a very curable cancer, especially if you catch it early. So go in there, like I said, ask your doctor to put it on a script, or just go get the test yourself and get it done. Just get it done, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Philip. I enjoyed our conversation and looking forward to seeing you more on our bi-weekly meetings. And we know that this, like you said, this is something that can be managed if we catch it early. And the goal is to catch it early. So guys, don't be afraid to step out there, ask the questions. If you don't know, you can even start by calling your doctor or sending them an email and saying, hey, I've got some questions. Can I just come in and talk to you? Well, at least get the conversation started. Today, my guest is Mr. Stephen Harris. He's a friend that I've met through the Prostate Cancer Black Men Support Network. And I'm excited for you to hear his story and for us to share his story with you.
I'm Stephen Harris. I'm a financial advisor and a litigation consultant. Still enjoy working. It's definitely helps me out to keep working. Would say my journey started probably around 95 or so, when I would listen to a few of my friends, older friends. I'm 75 years old, by the way. A few older friends around my age were around 50 years old at that time. Well, I had prostate cancer. Several of them had prostate cancer. Well, what should I do? Tell me more. Well, we suggest you make sure when you go in for your annual physical, get a digital rectal exam. Definitely get that, even though you won't like it. PSA exam. I said, sure. So I did that I lose track of these years. Probably don't want to remember the actual years. I would go in for the annual digital rectal exam and the PSA exam. I'm sure it was in 1998. And I went into Kaiser Permanente, got these two tests along with the annual physical. Mr. Harris, we need you to come in and talk with us. He said, well, can't you just tell me on the phone? I don't feel like coming to see you. Oh, damn, why do I need to come? Just tell me. Well, we need to come in. We can't tell you over the phone. So I went in. Mr. Harris, your PSA level is very high, so around 4.8. I said, okay, so tell me more. Well, we're going to have to do a biopsy. So I believe in about 2 days, I went in and had a biopsy. They came back the results. Mr. Harris, you definitely have prostate cancer. And what still amazes me is, you go in, at least in all of us, we go in for preventive purposes or to minimize what's going to happen to you. So I would go out, like I said, regularly for these exams, the digital rectal exam, the prostate exam, and I still end up with prostate cancer. Wow, I said, wow. Not only did I have prostate cancer, regardless of these tests, the cancer had left the cancer. And I thought that was the purpose of these tests, is to make sure the cancer is contained on your prostate, to make it easier and more effective to kill the cancer. And this cancer progressed into my right hip and my lymph nodes throughout my body. So I have cancer, and this was 1998. Well, what are we going to do now? Well, Mr. Harris, how fast do you want to go? Well, I want to go super fast, rocket ship. So immediately I contacted several cancer centers, Scripps Cancer Center in San Diego, UCLA Cancer Center, USC Cancer Center, Cancer Center of America. My wife had recommended I go to Sloan Kettering in the city in New York City. I said, no, when I go to the city, I want to have fun. I'm not going to have fun with this old thing. So making a short story, I went to several different centers. Well, what can we do? What can we do? One center said, well, we're going to give you medicine. How long are we going to be on this medicine? Well, for the rest of your life. I said, oh, no. have to go. Thank you very much. I Cedars-Sinai. They told me what they would do. He said, okay, 42 cancer treatments. And I completed the radiation treatments. So now I found I have incurable cancer. It's held at bay by Lupron. I go in every 3 months for an injection of Lupron. And every day I take 4 tablets of a medicine called Extend. What it does is suppresses your body's production of testosterone. And testosterone is literally food or candy for cancer. And because the cancer is deprived of testosterone, the cancer is in dormant state. So again, I have incurable cancer. Side effects are, these side effects dripped on me because I wasn't told all of these side effects in the beginning. Well, Mr. Harris, you might lose a little weight. Mr. Harris, you might listen. Later on, I found out accident that one of the side effects is depression and anxiety, dry skin, dehydration. I mentioned the weight, which threw me off for a loop. I was gaining a little bit of weight. I let my pants down. Once they told me what was causing the weight gain, they extended. I made sure I didn't eat as much. They're a little bit more careful with my eating. My weight dropped down. I went back to the same tailor. Mr. Taylor, would you please take in my pants? Cool.
Thank you, Stephen, for that.
You're
for
welcome.
telling us your health history. I've got a couple questions. So you have been living with cancer for 26 years.
No.
No?
I'm losing track.
Well, you said you got diagnosed in 1998.
All right about that. I lose track of these years. Okay. 2018. Thank you for bringing me back up to earlier days. So it was 2018 that Kaiser, sorry about it.
All right.
Diagnosed me with cancer, prostate cancer.
So, I mean, that's still a long time, 2018 to 2024.
Yes.
That's 6 years.
Yes.
And so congratulations on your long journey and sticking in there. At the time when you were diagnosed, when they called you in and told you that they needed to see you, do you remember what your PSA was?
It was around 4.8.
About 4.8, okay.
4.8.
So not extremely high, but high enough that it was outside of the safe range.
Well, it was high enough to have cancer in my right hip and also cancer in my legs. So I'm really suspicious of these readings.
Okay, so from the very beginning, it had already metastasized from that very first day. So let's talk also now about, as you're dealing with this, you've been going through these long radiation treatments and you're on the medications and dealing with the side effects. However, you're still able to work and conduct your business. So how are you managing, balancing the cancer treatments and the side effects, as well as still staying active in your business and in your consulting and active in your lifestyle?
Okay. Well, I don't have any more treatments. The radiation was the treatment. The 2 medicines that I mentioned, Lupron and Extend, I go in for the shot every 3 months. So that didn't take much time. An hour and a half to go around. Extend, just take those every day. And when I was told that when I found out was causing that I didn't know what was wrong with it. I knew mentally something was wrong. So I went in to a neurologist, told me I had depression, anxiety. And she said, I said, what do you do? What are some of the things that keep happening? I said, well, I continue to work. I enjoy music. I play chess. I love talking with my wife, who's the absolute angel and my blessing, number one blessing in my life. Well, number two, second to God. These are things that keep me going.
What do you do for activities to stay healthy?
Well, I'm really blessed. The only thing I do to stay healthy is walk.
Walk's a great exercise.
And several times a week I walk, and my doctor really put to me and some of my friends who have prostate cancer. We found that we don't have to walk that long. A couple of times a week, maybe 15 minutes to keep the joints limber and get the breathing up. But I'm really fortunate. I don't have to do anything as far as eating. I've been a good eater since I was a child, I guess. So not obese, overweight, what's that correct? I don't have hypertension. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes or any of those things that you definitely don't want in your basket.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's good to know that you don't have some of the comorbidities.
No.
You mentioned your wife a couple times as you were talking about your health journey. Let's talk about her support and how important her support and your community has been in your health journey.
Well, Flann, if it wasn't for my wife, I may be dead. I don't know. I told my wife many times, she's given me life, helped me maintain it. I'll stick to, I'm sure, for the rest of my life.
How long have you been married?
We've been married for 50 years.
50 years. Well, that's great. Congratulations.
In a few more days. We got married in 1974. I remember that.
All right. That's great. Congratulations on your 50 years of marriage.
Thank you.
You also mentioned that some of the side effects are depression and dehydration. How are you dealing with those on a daily basis?
Okay, well, the depression, anxiety, they go hand in hand. They're inseparable. So this is why I went to the therapist. The dehydration, well, I just buckle up. Instead of drinking 6, 7, 8 glasses of water, I may drink 11, 12 glasses of water. Glass or 2 of water before I go to bed. The skin dehydration comes with dehydration, so I just put more lotion on me than I've ever done. Never been one of these, hope you don't mind, one of these men who, look after themselves, but whatever. So I do more lotion.
So, Stephen, as we think about rounding the corner here, if there's some men out there who are thinking about their life and their challenges and they're not sure what to do, they may have some questions about their health, what would your advice be to them to do to taking control of their health and getting the answers they need so they can make the decisions they need to make to stay healthy and to maintain their longevity?
Okay, well, number one, I'm going to strike out that word think. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Do it. I said, go into your doctor for your annual physical. Get these tests. I don't know. Hopefully your insurance covers. I hope and pray your insurance covers. Go in and get digital rectal exam and the PSA test. Don't walk out of there without a digital rectal exam. No. Okay, if you have to slap your doctor on the face, I want a digital rectal exam. You want me to tell you what it is? I'll tell you, but you'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think, do it. Okay, don't sit down here on Google or Twitter or X. Go to your doctor and get these tests. Okay, get these tests. When you get the results, I just hope and pray your results always negative. Don't have prostate cancer. And should you do, just do the same thing that you did here. Not only do you go to this doctor, but you go to your urologist, and you do as I did. You don't have to go to 5 or 6 places like that. Okay, I'm an overachiever. And we're just praying you never get this.
Right.
So
you're basically saying get good information. No, don't just depend on the computer and internet, but go to reputable centers, take your information, get good information so you can make a good decision. Last question for you is what would be your advice for men to stay positive through this experience? Even if you find out that you have prostate cancer, you and I know that your life is not over, even though at first it may seem that way as you're trying to deal with all this information and you're trying to figure out what treatments are, and there's a lot of information. But what advice would you have for how to stay positive through the whole experience and to be confident that you're making good decisions so that eventually you can live long after you've dealt with this?
Well, I'll say number one on the list is prep. Okay. No specific order. Make sure you continue doing the things you've been doing for all your life. You can find some other things to add in your schedule. Continue doing those things. All of these things that you have been doing give you joy and happiness and satisfaction, and they will continue giving you joy and happiness and satisfaction. There's nothing we can do about this. Like I said, I have incurable cancer. I know that I've enjoyed my life. I enjoy my wife, my children, everyone else, and I want this to continue for another 150 years, 200 years, 300 years. And that's the best thing I can pray. Continue doing the things that you have been doing, and place on the list, and embrace what you have been doing. Embrace the fact that you can continue doing what you have been doing. Embrace the fact that you can add things to your life, whatever it is. Whatever. I don't know. Go dancing with your wife once a week or whatever. Sing songs to your wife. Let her sing songs to you. I don't know. Let her paint your nails. Just for play, not for real.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, just to remain positive and do the things you do.
You doing the things you do, and look for more things. All of these things have been a part of your life for however long, and they've given you joy and happiness and satisfaction, right?
Yeah. So, Stephen, thank you for your time. I mean, this has been a very enjoyable interview. Thank you for being honest with us, and thank you for sharing your journey. We wish you the very best as you continue this journey. Like you said, many more years to go. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I think you may have helped me more by allowing me to share this with hopefully millions and millions of us.
Write us at realhealthblackmen@gmail.com. realhealthblackmen@gmail.com. To support this podcast, go to buymeacoffee.com/realhealthblackmen. buymeacoffee.com/realhealthblackmen. And to become a corporate sponsor, send us an email.